Just making sure you good. That's all.
My eyes closed, Lord. Can we get a hand clap? We get a hand clap. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to the Shine Your Light podcast. I'm your host, Lachelle Hooks. We've been gone for a minute, y'all, haven't we?
A long time.
It's been a long time. I got so much brewing in my spirit, y'all. I think we got unload today. But again, I am your host, Lachelle Hooks. I'm so happy to be here with you guys and so happy to have my guest co-host / producer / everything else.
I'm chilling on the show.
Tone in the building, setting the tone. We also have some wonderful guests here today who one of them is definitely going to be a guest co-host coming up real soon. Actually, I would love for both of them to be, in all honesty. But we have the beautiful Simone in the building. Isn't she gorgeous, y'all?
Thank you.
The epitome of a queen. Thank you for being here. I certainly appreciate your presence. And I know she's going to add value to the conversation today. So I hope y'all are listening.
Yeah, I've been waiting to get on here.
Yes, girl. Yes, we've been waiting for you. So welcome. Glad to have you. Oh, I know we cute, right? And then you already know Ty the guy in the building.
Another one.
Every time I introduce him, he said, I got to bring the energy. So we're going to keep the energy nice and high for this guy. So welcome, Ty the guy, once again, always dropping knowledge and wisdom every time he's here. Thank you so much for joining us, Ty.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate you being here. I dragged him here, y'all. Got him here again. So before we begin, you know, I haven't done this before, but we're going to do it today. We're going to say just a quick prayer because we're talking about a topic that we all need to be talking about. We're talking about love, and there's levels to love. And I don't know if y'all knew this, but I know this to be true. God is love.
That's true.
God is love. Okay. So when we're talking about love, it's kind of hard to dive into it without the Father, you know, and bringing him into it. So we're going to bring him in the room today. Okay. If he ain't here already, we're going to bring him in. So you ain't got to bow your heads, but I just want to say a quick prayer. So Lord, we just humbly come before you, God, and we just thank you for your grace and your mercy, God. Lord, we thank you for your presence. We pray that you saturate this message, Father God. Allow us to speak with pure hearts and clear minds, Lord God. And we just pray that the message just sits on the hearts of the listeners and that it pierces their spirits and takes root. We pray these things in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. That
Amen.
name.
All
That's
right.
Silly.
Yeah. So y'all know it's levels to love. Did y'all know that?
Yes.
I'm figuring it out, y'all.
I think we all figuring it out.
And it's some levels that I don't like.
Yeah.
It's
I feel like that's with females, though, to be completely honest, because everything is so complicated with females. So even with love, it's like we can't just love correctly.
why
Like,
you say that?
I feel like with females, there's so much emotion that the simplicity to love, we just can't wrap our head around.
Let me ask you a question.
Ooh, yeah, let's get into
I
it.
got some questions.
Kind of positive.
Let me ask you a
I started
question.
it off.
No, this is not a direct attack. This is me potty.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and let's start from ground zero.
Mhm.
What is
Good
your
place to start.
definition of love?
I believe there's two types of love.
Break it
I
down.
believe there is God love, and I believe there is human love.
Okay, let's focus on human love.
So with human love, I feel like it is a willing to basically go through life with you, or willing to go through anything that comes with you, whether it's ups, downs, whether it's positive, negative. That's what I feel like human love is. Human love is basically like a sacrifice, like willing to deal with everything that has to do with this person.
Aw, I want that kind of love. That's beautiful.
It sounds good.
It sounds good.
Right. But I don't do you feel like we complicate things as women?
Yes.
In what way?
I feel like as women, we connect love, loyalty, honesty all into one thing.
Okay.
That's true.
And why can't we?
Because it's not the same thing.
Okay.
It's not the same thing.
I could see that. Maybe men are too simple in that case. Like maybe
But
they
we are
maybe
not,
they
though.
just need
That's
to
true.
understand the complexity of a woman to understand our love language and how we love. You know, so
I
because
can't agree to that.
You don't think so?
I can't agree to that. First of all,
Y'all don't understand nothing.
No,
That's
no.
right, because I got some questions.
I don't agree with that because men are always purposely being marginalized to simplicity.
Mhm.
Yet we still have emotions just like y'all do.
Mhm.
Y'all definitely
We do still have needs just like y'all do.
Mhm.
We still crave intimacy just like y'all do.
Yes.
But in most cases, for us to, in so many words, promote that, we're looked down upon.
Mhm.
Our needs are minimalized to that of women.
Mhm.
Even though men are the ones who have to work towards to get the woman, in so many words, our feelings are second to making sure she is satisfied. For a long
happy
time,
wife, happy life.
That is
but
not-
why does
that's
that
not
have
true.
to be?
Right.
But how are we men?
Why
men,
can't the conversation be
men-
happy spouse, happy house?
which I
Right.
agree with. However, men say this all the time. You know, that they want the woman to be their peace. But how can we be y'all peace if we're not at peace? So you should be pouring into us, you know what I'm saying? So that we can pour back into you.
I
But
feel
go ahead.
like that is the complication of women of this day.
Okay.
That's the complication, because for one, the definition of love for a man and the definition of love for a woman is two completely different things.
Which it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It
because
is.
love
It
love.
shouldn't.
But
It shouldn't
it's
be.
expressed different.
It's
among
expressed
the two.
really
I can agree
different.
with her. It is going to be different because our wants and needs are different.
Mhm.
Right.
If we're supposed to be the provider and you're supposed to be the nurturer, how you present love is going to be different than how we present
Exactly.
love.
So it's
And
the
that's-
expression.
Therefore,
That's the
our want
complication.
is going to be different.
Right. Because then the complication is, as a woman, we are looking for them to nurture us. And we assume if they're nurturing us, they love us. And with men, it's not always that way. They may give you nurture because they know that that's what you crave, that's what you need. But a man can nurture you and not love you.
Sometimes a man is just trying to build you into what he wants you to be.
It's not love.
That's possible,
for
too.
their purpose.
Yeah.
That is often
That is stability. And
a
I
lot
think
of
this
men's
going
goals.
back with her. I like you. We on the same way through the whole thing. So I see you gonna be the person I'm always gonna bounce things off of today. But the thing about that is when you think about it, relationships are complicated no matter how you go about it. Unless you've only been in one relationship and have never dealt with anything social media based, or have never dealt with a person who is 100% independent, all relationships are going to be complicated. Everybody's
Does it have to be though?
everybody's perspective of a relationship is solely based upon what they have already endured, whether it's something they physically went through themselves or something they've seen. The way our dad treats our mom determines how we, as men, will 9 times out of 10 go out and treat a relationship. If we seen that what our dad did was terrible, the first thing is we're not going to be like him. Okay.
I agree with that.
If our mom was openly aggressive with the way she loves, we are going to 9 times 10 expect our woman to be openly aggressive to us because this is what we see. This is where we get our realities from.
Mm-hmm.
Like she said, it's going to be different because there's so many women in the world right now that are at a level of independency, whereas I can do everything you can do. So the concern becomes, why are you here?
Yeah, it's that masculinity.
Exactly.
It's the masculinity. And that's part of like even my own experiences. I grown up with so many women in my life and in my family who are like that, and they literally teach us that growing up, like, you don't need a man to do this, you don't need a man to do that, you can do it yourself, you can be confident. And it's like they put it in a way where it's like, if you can do it yourself, then you're a complete woman. And the problem is, why am I looking for a man if I'm doing it myself?
Exactly. So now the need for love changes. Now I don't want you to fill me up emotionally or intimately as a woman. I need you to take these bills off my back.
Exactly.
I need you to stop making me be independent, but I still need my independency.
Right.
So now there's a conflict even in the conversation of let's see how we get to even being a couple. So now you have to deprogram a woman to be more of the softer side of seers.
I like that
Okay.
terminology,
Okay,
guys.
okay. Y'all, let me just put
We're not deprogramming.
Let me just put the 2
programming
cents because
women here.
I've been listening, and in large part, I agree with a lot of things. I disagree with a few things. Do I believe that we understand the same thing of what love is on either side? No, I do not. I understand that we understand it differently because we express it differently. But love is love at the end of the day. No matter how we paint it, we cannot take it outside of its essence, right? So my question is, how do you identify when you are being loved?
Ooh, properly.
Well,
Love it.
I
Love it.
think you can't identify if you're being loved if you don't love yourself.
Well,
right.
That's number one.
But-
Nor should you be looking for love or looking to be loved by the next person if you don't love yourself properly. That
Right.
is absolutely number one. But once that is established,
Are you talking
once
to
that
your mic, please?
self-love-
You know better.
Once that it's been a month,
You
y'all.
ain't been
I
gone that
been here the
long.
whole
Your
time.
mic is red, so it's obviously
Oh, I
good.
didn't even notice that.
Okay.
Jesus. But once that self-love is established, then we should be looking for someone else to love us properly. So what does loving us properly look like? Before we answer that question, the whole everything that y'all said though, and I kind of think differently, y'all.
But that's why you have a podcast.
I think a little differently. I think we complicate things that shouldn't be complicated.
I
don't
agree.
think love should be a complex
Explain.
thing. I think, like I said, God is love. Okay. He loves unconditionally, that sacrificial love that we're speaking of. So anything that's other than that, why are we calling it love? We're steady calling so many things love. That's not love. And that's
What's an
when we
example of
identify-
something that is being called love that's not love?
That's what we finna go into. That's when we identify if we're being loved properly or if we're loving others properly. So let's get into that.
Well,
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
I was
an-
going to say, I consider that another problem with
Let's talk about
relationships
it,
at
girl.
this time, because a lot of people don't put God in their relationships. Their relationships is whatever they feel at the moment or how they feel or what they're going through at the moment. So
Which is why they go through
coaster.
hell.
Exactly.
But-
Roller coaster. No foundation. Yeah, that's a roller coaster. So-
Okay, so if God is love, right, and we all can agree on that, God is love, right?
Tone.
What? me and my relationship with God is a very unique experience. So
Which most of my friends have unique
it's a-
experiences.
me and them. That's his pronoun this week. Me and them have a unique experience. He is there, but he also be like, "Hey, I gave you free will, so go do what you need to do."
I wish he didn't, because I'm a hard-headed believer, Lord. I'm such a hard. I wish he didn't give us
So
that
even
free
though
will.
God is
Life would be
love,
so much
and at the end of
easier.
the day, he gave us the platform of what love should be. Let's be honest, as long as free will is in existence, its interpretation is going to be different. We have past childhood traumas that sometimes that can even affect the greatest love we have. We always say all the time, for an example, last person you date, this is just a general for anybody listening, guaranteeing the last person you dated will affect the way you walk into your next relationship no matter what.
Absolutely.
So as much as you may have an open minded where I still love and I cherish love and I have an idea of what I want in relationship. But this person over here, when I gave my all, took advantage of it. So I'm only going to give you 50% this time. Or the third time, this person has to come to me. I'm not going to come to you. You're going to change the way you approach every situation, no matter what, which is where things get complicated. You start off with, what do you see as a relationship in your household first? Then your first high school crush. Then your first relationship as an adult. Then your first heartbreak. All these things mold to you of what you want, what you need, what you yearn. Age. I'm 43 years old. What I would look for in a relationship is not the same thing I would look for in 23. Okay? Not the same thing. I'm not out here. I could care less what's between your legs because I can find that anywhere. What's in your heart? Where's your mind state at? How do you build? When this happens across the board, how do you handle that? Things like that I care about. Mm-hmm. And then once I get these things and I feel like, okay, you can manage an everyday life. Let's see where this relationship can go. Also, today's society is more heavy on the lust than on the love. That like you say, we're mistaking the two. There's a lot of lustful relationships that are going on out here because they don't know no better. Right. They only value what is sexual gratification. They are only using that individual to masturbate with and falling in love with the feeling that happened in that moment.
Absolutely. So I do believe most people, like you just said, know what lust is. So let's let them know, what does love truly look like? What does it look like to be loved properly? Go ahead, Ty.
Love is an experience. The same way that everything that we experience in life is, every emotion. I tell a lot of people this a lot when we talk. We are vessels, and we live in a world that is based on high vibrations and low vibrations. Love being the highest, hate being the lowest. We dwell in this world that
powerful.
We dwell in this world where these energies are meant to pass through. We are meant to experience them and allow them to be let go when those are in a lower sense of vibration. We take form in, like he said, lust, which is a lower vibration, which can become in a disguise of this feels good to me, right? And we take it verbatim. So we harness it. And once we harness it and we take it in, it becomes us. It becomes our reality. It oozes through our life. And now you come and it forms in toxicity because that's what it becomes, rather than it actually maturing with you experience love the proper way. That's why I told most people, what do you think love is? Okay, if God is love, right? How do you experience God? How do you identify him? It's through the experience. He introduced himself. The more you go through, the more that you experience in life, the more he reveals himself to you in those moments. That's an experience. That's what love is. So that's how you identify when someone is loving you properly during the experience. What is taking place? Is this edifying me or is this taking from me?
There, exactly. 100% exactly. So let's break it down to the listeners who maybe have not studied the Bible as much as Ty, okay? And all these other, things that we know you have studied, or maybe has not, doesn't have all the knowledge that Tone has.
Well, you're looking at me. I know my stuff.
Let's break it down a little bit, for those 20, 23, 24-year-olds and 18-year-olds that could possibly be listening, and they don't know what love looks like because they didn't experience it from their mothers and their fathers. The easiest thing to do to know when you're being loved properly from a person that you're dating is when you received it in your family, but those people that never received it, they may think that this person that's putting their hands on them is love. He loves me because he's doing that. No, it don't mean that. That means he wants to possess you and he wants to conquer you. That's not what it means at all. So let's kind of break down what it means. Like now, what you just said, you said that if what they're pouring into you is building you up, that is evidence that you're being loved properly, right? If what they're pouring into you kind of helps you become your best self. That's evidence that you're being loved properly.
Right.
You, of course, have to pour into them too. This is not a one size street,
Right.
but you pouring into them should not take away from you and deplete you. Anytime
agree.
that you're pouring completely into a person that claims that they love you and you're satisfying them and doing all these things to them, and you're very sacrificial and all that good stuff, but you don't feel full at the end of that, okay, which I think a lot of women is feeling, and probably a lot of young men too, then you are being taken advantage of and you are not being loved properly. And that is a toxic situation that you need to get away from. Okay. I didn't want to go into this right away, but I'm just going to bring it up.
Oh, we here now.
Right.
We here, y'all. We talking about it. 5 women killed from domestic violence within a week in Milwaukee. That don't make no sense. 5 women. Look, I ain't bring no cards today. But I did bring my little book and I wasn't gonna open it up, but I'm just gonna open it up
This
just
ain't in
to
your
tell
notes,
y'all
huh?
this. Just to tell y'all this. One person, young lady, and her daughter, okay, killed on 4th and Ring. Another woman, 34th and National. Another woman, 17th and Wright. Another woman, 90th, then Hampton. Another woman, 25 years old, in West Dallas. Okay, these are all close to home. This doesn't make any sense. It's becoming a trend that these men are taking these women out. Okay, at one point in time, these women felt loved by these men, probably even felt protected, not realizing that they were probably isolated or in a cage. Okay. So I really kind of want to speak to those women, because typically what's happening is once they finally realize the situation they were in, and my condolences to those women's families. I'm not going to mention the names, but my condolences to those women families. But typically when they realize that they're in that situation and try to get out, it's too late.
Yes and no. Okay.
I'm about-
No. This is you. Hey, you wanted me to be on.
She added to the problem. You want to be a
She-
part of the problem. We were just talking.
You. Yes and no. And this is the reason why I have to say that.
I'm listening.
A lot of times we do not give the proper attention to certain situations. I guarantee you, 4 out of those 5 men probably had some form of mental health,
Absolutely.
some
Absolutely.
form of mental instability. And women, in their natural habits of wanting to nurture and fix everything, seeing it as a project. Now, not them in particular, but women are notorious for doing this. I can take the bad boy out the street. I can fix him. I can change him. I can remove him from if I can just get him away from this scenario, I can make him a better person. Okay. I see the potential in him. Okay. It's a large portion of women that date the potential. But at the end of the day, no problem is brand new. You've seen it.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't know who all in here or who all listen watches P-Valley. Multiple different
I
reasons
watch
not to watch it. But there's one particular story that fits in perfectly for what we're talking about right now. And that is Keyshawn. Keyshawn is in a very abusive relationship right now. But it wasn't until maybe episode 3 or 4 of season 2 where they told her backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And Keyshawn seen the level of aggression the gentleman had.
Mm-hmm.
Keyshawn seen how abusive he can be even before she even got serious with him. But because of the escapism from her everyday life, she opted to go with this man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And because of that, she then got herself pregnant. And now she truly felt, I can't leave this scenario for my kids. Now, without giving the story away, if you've seen P-Valley, we know that a revelation is coming in so many words. But these are the same scenarios where in today, regular modern society, you see the signs a long time ago. you choose not to walk away from the signs. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened with these 5, because one situation, if this is what I'm thinking, came out the clear blue. I mean, maybe like a month ago, if I'm not mistaken, a domestic violence situation ended in death, and the gentleman still stayed there. He was on live the whole 9 yards up until the police took him out, if I'm not mistaken. But she didn't see that coming. She didn't know that was going to be a bad situation. But a lot of domestic violence situations, the mentality of these women feel like they have no escapism. They literally feel like, I see the problem, I can't get out the problem. Expose the Podcast, which is on the network. They're 2 domestic violence survivors. And their whole thing is not just a podcast, it's a whole movement. And they're working towards giving these resources. So it may have been love in the beginning. It really may have been love. It may have legitimately been God-given love. But when you have demons and mental instabilities inside of you, it's going to corrupt it.
Okay, so in that case, let's just say it was love, right?
Okay.
Let's just say everything, there was no red flags in the beginning, all that good stuff, right? Eventually, these women got to a point, whether it was for good reasons or bad reasons, that they wanted to leave the situations, which probably is what, caused the end.
The trigger of the mental instability.
Exactly.
That's when you start getting men who don't know how to function.
Or deal with rejection.
That's the mental instability too.
Okay.
Let's keep it a buck.
Right. So fellas, I'm the number one person to say a man should shoot his shot, but in these type of cases, how does a man in these type of cases shoot your shot? How does a man deal with rejection? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's a blow to y'all ego, but it should not be. Y'all should feel just so okay with letting a woman go and being free and being confident within yourselves that y'all are good. So
I don't.
How y'all do it?
I'm a little.
Talk to me.
I don't know.
How you do it, Simone? Her voice
I'm
so
gonna be
sweet,
honest. I'm gonna be honest, and I know this sounds like I'm just getting on the women, but I'm only speaking on the women because I'm a woman. So I feel like the only way that women receive correction is through another woman. But anyway, I feel like nowadays the way that women reject men, super aggressive.
Very
unnecessarily aggressive. I would be hurt. And don't get me wrong, you have aggressive men that you have to do that with.
And we get that.
But there's a process.
But there's a process to that. You don't have to start off that way just because when you rejected this man, you had to be a little more forceful with him. You don't have to be that way with all men. All men aren't like that. And that's a part of the problem. And I mean, to be honest, we can also get on some of these mothers too with raising these sons because y'all start them off aggressive. So they just feel like all women are gonna be aggressive. So of course they're not gonna like rejection.
They've never heard no. No knock on single mothers because there's a lot of them. My mom started off a single mother before she got married, but a lot of single mothers turn their sons into their in-house boyfriend. They make them the man of the house, non-sexual, but they make them the man of the house. They provide and give that child everything that they wanted to pour into a relationship, creating
they
this.
Overlove the boy.
Boom.
Or they.
That's why you're not good for podcasts. You get to the point too quick. you get to the point too quick. But you gotta. They overlove. My whole story messed up. They overlove the boy, and now the boy don't know what no looks like. So he feels like when he goes out, every woman should want him because his mom has presented that every woman wants you.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when they go up to a woman who, whether they want her for the long term or just for later on that night, if she say, no, that's not how I feel, his ego gets broken because he doesn't know what rejection is. Or you may have those one where it took him a minute to even get the courage to say something. Like, you two are very beautiful ladies. I don't think that most men would camera can see that right away. I didn't even have to put that out there. But you two are very beautiful. Right. So if a guy who may want to approach you he may look at you and be like, let me get my weight up before I step up. Let me get some ducks in order before I present. This is the kind of person who I am definitely going to have to court.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ding was right on time too. I'm going to have to court. But then after they get all this together and get the courage and come at you in a gentleman fashion, and you be like, well, no, I'm not looking to date right now. Oh, that hurts. Because the reason that you're giving him does not compute that I'm not an option. You just don't want to date. You know, and this goes back to it's how you say it.
Yeah.
Okay, so fellas, before we give the ladies some advice on how to deal with those type of men, do y'all have any advice for y'all brothers on how they should receive that type of rejection? Talk to me.
For me, the way that I've grown up, because of the way that I've grown up, I kind of kept that side over there. I had a lot of women that would approach, but I knew that I was just dealing with too much at the time, that it was just like I wasn't good for nobody.
Oh, Lord.
So I would more so kind of put myself in a box.
Okay.
So I wouldn't approach a woman, although I knew that I can get the woman, but I knew that I just wasn't right for the woman. I just didn't want to damage her any more further than where I knew that I was as a man.
Which is a man of integrity. We appreciate
I kind of stayed away from that for a while. And it took me a point to where it was like, okay, I'm going to grow. I'm going to figure me out. And when I am, then I can approach that woman. As he said, like, first, I got to get myself together. It was a certain type of demographic of women that I was attracted to. And majority of them was successful, had things going for themselves. They was mature. So for me, I felt that I had to be at a certain level for them. And it's funny because now I deal with a lot of women looking that way towards me. Like, you know, like, well, you know, I feel like I have to be a certain way for you, or I have to be here, I have to be there, etc. So it's like a two-sided thing. But in kind of what you said earlier before that was that what I've learned is that, like you said, enduring rejection is that I'm okay with who I am and where I am.
Exactly.
And because I am in that space, I can just let that go.
And that is how we clean the dating pool, by working on ourselves, guys. So that was great advice for the men, right?
Right. But also take in consideration, how old are you?
30.
20-year-old him may have given you a completely different answer.
Oh, I know. I've heard the stories.
Wait, 20, let me see.
23-year-old me,
stories.
23-year-old me would have definitely gave a different story.
Exactly.
Because if I got rejected at 23, I may not call her out of her name, but I'm definitely going to look at her completely different.
So that's why I said that prayer in the beginning, because my hope and, you know what I'm saying, my goal is for those men that are in their teens, later teens, in their 20s to listen to y'all experience. And
I
for
can
those
tell you
women
one
to
of the
listen
biggest.
to our
I
experience.
can tell you
don't
one
want
thing.
to go through what we've gone through.
I can tell you
guys.
one thing for men that can definitely clean up the dating pool. I don't know how old you are, but there was a point. No, I don't need to know. But there was a point in time where there was something that used to be around for women. It was called Charm School.
Okay.
It was a course sometimes held by the church. Sometimes you can go get it privately, where it actually taught young ladies how to be
a lady.
Amen.
How
how you behave, how you carried yourself, how you walked, how you talk, how you move. Okay. Men had their rite of passage from another man. An older man took you under their wing. They taught you how to be a man. Most of the time, it usually was the responsibility of your father, right? Be mindful that a large part of this generation does not have that male role model. I feel like they need to reincorporate Charm School for women as part of the high school curriculum. Not teaching them how to be a lady, but just teaching them how to be
their feminine energy and
But
walk in their power.
Self-love.
I completely agree with that.
And then the boys do need some form of gentleman's school.
Absolutely.
Okay. Whether or not, like, you have this class, and every Friday you got to come in a suit, or you got to have a button up, and then you're taught how to properly have conversations with individuals, and you're taught financial literacy or anything of that nature that will be things that are important to as an adult. by incorporating these mannerism schools,
Mhm.
you're going to change a lot of the mentality of how they look at a situation.
Absolutely.
Now, will it work right away? Probably not, but there's going to be an overall difference that's going to grow from it. And that's one of the biggest issues with African American males is we don't have a natural rite of passage. We don't have anything that takes a man, takes a boy to a man other than you're 18, get out there and get a real job.
They
That's
never
true.
before that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's absolutely
Like you have to be the man of the
That'd be a
household.
great idea. We should
So
do
that is one thing I feel how you can clean up the dating pool by re-educating what maturity is in the dating pool.
Mhm.
Because it's this day and age where if you've had sex 2 times in 1 week, you go together. That's the mentality of relationships now.
Right.
Mhm.
So a lot of them in relationships.
Don't even
just
know
by
they in a
default.
relationship
Right.
at that.
Like you use the bathroom over by his house, so y'all go together now.
Facts.
Like
You left your toothbrush on accident. Now
Right.
that's your man.
it's your thing. There's a shirt in the back seat of my car that belongs to you. I guess we're a couple now.
Yeah.
You might as well put the baby car seat in because I'm about to get you pregnant next week. That's literally the mentality right now of the younger generation.
And that's where a lot of those disputes are coming from people not communicating, what level that they're on, which is something that we absolutely need to do too. People just kind of take those actions, but don't clarify what their title is.
Or an
Titles are really
assumption.
important to women. There we go.
There's
That's
so many
downfall.
assumptions.
It's a downfall, and I don't mean to cut
No,
you
go
off.
ahead.
And I only want to make this point. I just was talking to someone about this.
Mhm.
Titles is a downfall to a lot of things in life
Oh, who?
for men and women.
Okay.
And this is why I'm going to say this.
Speak on it.
As soon as I say, right, to a woman, what do it takes to be a wife? They never can give you the right answer. If I tell the man, what do it takes to be a husband? They can never give you the right answer. How can you put a title on somebody that they don't even understand? It's impossible. You can't live up to that. It's impossible. If you go say, okay, I want you to be, my man, or I want you to be my woman, right?
Mhm.
They don't understand the expectations that comes with that.
The majority doesn't. I'm not gonna say
I can say
everybody, but
I can say the majority.
does
I
not.
don't want to say all because
Yeah.
I understand the rarity
Yes.
of today. But it most don't understand, so it's like you get into that role and you fail miserably
Right.
because of expectations that
Mhm.
this person had of you, and you didn't even have it of yourself because you didn't know.
True.
Titles is a setup. I always said to myself, which is why I'm
I
still.
disagree, but go ahead.
I always said it within myself, which is why I'm still just me,
Mhm.
because God had to take me through a metamorphosis. I've been married before, so I had to go through a metamorphosis stage, and I felt like, right, I've done everything right as a husband, right, that I could, until God actually brought me into His Word and gave me His definition of what a husband is.
Mhm.
And when that revelation came and that realization came, and He taught me and to understand what it means to have a wife,
Mm.
my mentality changed. Everything changed
Mhm.
because it was like, okay, I have to take it this way now. I can't just take it verbatim the way I did before.
Right.
Oh, the church, y'all can't, shack and all this. So you put all those points into that.
Mhm.
But now I have to do it for the right reasons. For instance,
Pure intentions, y'all.
Mhm.
the way that a wife, right, supposed to view a husband is verbatim to how God wants us to view him. The way that the husband's supposed to view the wife is verbatim from how God viewed the church.
Yep.
Mhm.
But we don't view it that way. If I
Mhm.
ask a wife
Break that
or
down.
a person, if I ask them, who do you put first? The woman will always say God, and they'll be wrong. Because I can take you in His Word where He says that the wife thinketh about the things that pertaineth to how she may please her husband first.
Mhm.
And then He said the single woman think about the things that pertaineth to how she may please God.
Which is why it's so important when you're choosing your husband, you choose someone that you trust to lead.
Mhm.
Because I know we talked about this on the last show when the husband and the wife maybe are faced with a situation and they have to make a decision and they don't agree on this decision. And you ask one of the guests, well, if you don't agree with your husband,
Then what are
then
you
what?
gonna do?
Then what's gonna be? And I said, don't choose somebody that you don't trust to
Trust.
lead, because you're going to have to walk in faith with this person and
Mhm.
trust that they're following God. But when you marry for the wrong reasons, when you marry for a ceremony, when you marry for financial, you know what I'm saying, stability or whatever you read, some people marry for clout, Lord. I don't know.
Mhm.
Whatever your reasons are that are not of God, that are not the right reasons, you're going to run into that situation, and it's going to cause division when you didn't consider that first.
Mhm.
Okay. What you say? You said something about one body, two heads. Didn't
Two
you say-
heads do not make a body. I'm so keen on that. And this go back to you saying that
Yeah.
women dwelling in masculinity. I have so much of a problem with that. It's I've had women say that I'm only masculine because of what I've been through, right? And through experience, right? And if I was forced to be that way, you wasn't forced. You made a choice.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And your
There go
choice
that free
caused.
will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And your choice caused you
Darn
to
it,
be
free
there.
will.
Yeah, that's that goes back to, like I said, like how I was raised. I was raised with so many masculine women, and they are teaching me literally, like they're teaching me like, you don't need a man, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do this, but I mean, a man can come in and take care of you. Why though? When he's not my father, he shouldn't have to take care of me. This should be a partnership type of a thing. And even when it comes down to being raised by masculine women, I still had an option myself, whether or
Right.
not I wanted to be masculine or feminine. And although, don't get me wrong, I still need a little bit of help, but
We all
you
do.
still choose every day if you're going to be masculine or if you're going to be feminine. And it all goes down to, as well, are you following that man, or are you just going to follow God and stay single?
Lord.
And go with what you didn't agree with earlier. You know, I want to hear it.
I done forgot now, Lord. You got to ask me in a moment. But I want to speak on this, the feminine and the masculine, because,
Mhm.
and y'all probably remember, I think a little differently than most folks.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I feel like both exist in all of us. We came from a man and a woman, and that made a baby. So why do you think both not in you? Both are in us. We have masculine energy, we have feminine
Mhm.
energy. One should thrive over the other. I agree with that standpoint, but we got masculine energy, and that's okay.
Well,
Roll
that
up on me and see what happens.
I was gonna say, I feel
masculine
like
energy gonna come right out. I'm trying to tell you.
her get you. Go ahead.
But court me properly, and you're gonna tap into that feminine energy.
well, this is the
understand
thing. Like for me, for example, for example,
Go ahead.
I give off masculine energy. Why?
You're protective of yourself.
Because I am single. If I decided that I want to be in a relationship with a man, or I decided like, okay, I want to settle down and I want to do this, I'm going to give off feminine energy.
Absolutely.
Why? Because a man, not all men want to be with another man.
Right.
So if I am
Praise the
already in
Lord.
control, if I'm already in control of my own life, I already know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I got a goal, and this is what I'm pushing.
Yeah.
I don't need you to come in and stir that. So I'm not going to look for you.
Right.
But the problem with females is that they want to run their own life. They want to run the plan. They want to run the project, but they also want a man to be there. And you only want him there for either physical reasons or emotional reasons. And you can't have both. That's the
Right.
problem.
Typically,
So if
those
you're
type of
gonna
women want to run the man too.
exactly, you want to run him. And
Mhm.
if that's what you want to do, then it sounds like you need another female.
Powerful.
So don't
Powerful.
you can't do that. That's just not how life goes. When
So
it
a
comes down to
woman that is seeking to be found by her husband
Mhm.
should thrive in her femininity.
and feminine, because
Absolutely.
if you're looking for someone to come and to be that man, because women scream this continuously, especially with my age group, and especially nowadays. I'm 24 going on 25. But especially with my age group, they scream this a lot. Like, I want a man and I want him to come in and take control. And I just feel like I have to be this until I run into a man. Well, why do you have to be that? And then he has to force you to be feminine. Why can't you start off being feminine? And if you see that he's not masculine enough for you,
Mhm.
just keep it pushing. Why is it that he has to come in and force you to not be masculine anymore.
He has to kind of break down your
Right.
Right.
barriers.
And that's
I
extra for the
understand
man. And not every man wants to do that.
that.
So
Absolutely.
now
I'm
you're
not.
like, oh, there's no good man. There is good men. There is good men. There's a lot of really messed up women.
Facts.
I am glad a woman said that.
I told you.
Because whenever
It takes a woman.
because whenever we say that, we get slapped with accountability
It is.
in table talk conversations.
Mhm.
And y'all listening don't know table talk is what you bring to the table conversations,
Mhm.
which I feel like is stupid. I agree with her. And to piggyback on it, the problem with today's society is people only date for two reasons:
Mhm.
emotional stability and financial stability. Nobody
Shouldn't be.
Right.
dates for oneness anymore.
Mhm.
Nobody dates with the intention of what I have over here plus what you over here creates the kingdom right here.
How about we
It's-
date for the intention to glorify God? How about that? But go,
Because
keep
the
going.
world, because America, can't even say the world, I can't speak for America, has separated God from 97% of what this country
Which
is
is the
based
problem.
upon.
That is
And then
true.
they call it
Okay.
love.
So
But
when
you
you
can't have
separate
love
him
without
from
God.
97% of what the world does, you are going to have an issue when he gets inserted into the equation.
Right.
Okay, that's just being blatantly honest with that. But the thing about it is everybody right now is leaning more to the financial stability. What can you bring into this relationship to make my life easier? This is why you have so many women that lives into their masculinity, as we're saying, is because they've had to be the head of household for so long that one, they don't know how to release the reins because the last time they did, which is trauma that I talked about earlier, that individual dropped the ball.
Mhm.
That individual is the reason why I'm a single mother, because this individual who I gave leadership to did not know how to handle it. Therefore, instead of working through it, they walked away from it.
Mhm.
Okay. Or they did it illegally, which now removed them from the whole equation. So now everybody is looking for financial stability. Like one of the biggest arguments I hear right now for no reason whatsoever is, do you want your relationship to be 50-50 or 80-20? And there are so many women who scream the 80-20. He has to do 80% of everything, I bring 20, but you don't emotionally understand what that means.
Mhm.
You're looking at the 80 is you handle all the financial responsibilities and I do wifely duties.
And
That-
make the decisions.
But that's not how it works.
So do y'all feel like there's specific roles for men and women, like the woman cooks and the man pays all the bills, or do you
At
feel
one
like
point in
that's
time, yes,
interchangeable?
but the world is different now. I always feel like a man should not want a woman who cooks and cleans, because if you lived on your own, you were doing that anyway, I hope.
That's true.
You know, the things that society are asking for in relationships are basic essentials to survive in everyday life. You should know how to cook. You should know how to clean. You should know what happens when your car starts acting weird. You should know how to pay your own
I
bills.
did not know that
And-
part.
And this is both men and women. And if you don't know, you know who to go find
Not
out to
sure
tell
too.
you.
Find out.
But
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. So everybody is asking for basic things in order to be considered a mate, to be considered somebody they want to marry. But when the basics are checked and the boxes are checked off, now you have all these emotional traumas that need to be unpacked. I'm supposed to accept the fact that you have daddy issues. But because you have your own house and you make a mean casserole, I'm going to keep you anyway. No.
But I think that goes to the dating process. What do people consider dating?
Dating
Because
is,
us being in a relationship is not dating.
but we just stated earlier, dating is not a process anymore. Dating is, I touched you on the inside. I like it. You're the only person I want to touch now. We'll work all the other problems out throughout this next 6 to 9 months, because somewhere in here, we're
It's
going to have a
fail.
child, because I just want to touch you on the inside and dump my trauma on you.
See,
Most relationships are trauma bonds.
it is.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. So we're talking a lot about the problems. Let's talk about the solutions. What should dating look like?
Dating should be getting to know someone, period. No extra. No, you live with me, I live with you. we're having sex, we're having kids, it's just me and you. No, dating should literally be, I'm just getting to know the type of person you are. And dating should not have a limit. And I say that for the women out there. Oh well, I
put
don't
the 90
expect,
days on it like
yeah,
Steve
don't
Harvey
do that.
said.
Don't
I
do
don't
that.
believe in
Do
that
not
90
do
days.
that
Hang that up.
because that
Hang
man,
up.
if you sit here and that man knows that you are have him on a 90-day basic plan, that man is going to sit there and fake in your face for 90 days. And when you are like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get locked in, then that man is going to actually start being who that man really is. And now you're stuck. So you need to actually date multiple people. You don't have to just date one person. That's the whole point of taking the physicality out.
You are forgetting one key phrase. You have to date with purpose.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't date with purpose. They date for loneliness. They date for sexual gratification. And they date because they like this person. That's it. There is no end game. There is no end goals. There is no, this is what I want in my mate. And we're dating to get to these points. Communication is always going to die down. But what are we doing during the moments when it is going down? Just because the last 2 days I may not have spoken to you because something major happened in my life, that doesn't mean we're done. It means that now the ball is in your court to reach out to me. Dating shouldn't be one-sided. Okay? I shouldn't be the only person putting forth the effort. I should feel like if I don't talk to you for 2 days, you should be at my house saying, nigga, what the hell is going on with you? Let's unpack this. So I'm not too much of a fan of multiple dating because how are you truly getting to know somebody if you're entertaining other people?
I feel
but
like
I understand for those who do it.
Yes, I feel like you can really get to know someone, multiple people, if you are at a space where you are confident within yourself, you know exactly what you're looking for. Those people who are still experiencing and trying to find what it is that they actually want, no, you need to stick to that one person, or don't do it at all. Just see what you need for yourself and then go ahead and do that.
But I can understand because I've always felt that if you're dating 3 different people, okay, one, you've automatically made it a competition that they don't even know that they're in, okay? Because the minute where guy 1 says something that kind of rubs you the wrong way, instead of you unpacking why he feels that way, you're just not going to talk to him for a while and give a little bit more attention to guy 2.
So don't get me wrong. I get where you're coming from because a lot of females do that. And
Yeah,
I know a lot of females that do that. So don't get me wrong. I definitely get where you're coming from on that. The only reason that I said it in my way is I'm speaking from someone who has the amount of energy within themselves that they can do that.
I understand. That's why I have to say I'm not for it.
Yeah,
but I
get that
understand
though.
those.
Yeah,
because there is a difference between dating multiple people and occupying your time with multiple people.
I agree with you.
Because there's some people who 7 days a week they got a different person they can spend time with, but they don't know any of them past surface level.
Yeah,
but then there's 3 particular people who occupy all their time, and you're just trying to find the one God wants to be the main one.
Y'all just pick my husband for me and call it a day. Y'all complicate. It's too much. Ain't nobody got time.
It is because you have to, at the end of the day, believe it or not, believe it or not, dating consists of your past, present, and your future when you're dating. And a lot of us live in the present. We put up walls based on the past, and we just let the future be whatever it's going to be. You have to actually think of all 3 of them in the same time when you're dating. You have to think of it as time is linear. Like
I agree with Simone that you should date multiple people without involving intimacy. If you're intimate, you just be intimate with the one person that you're intimate with, right? But I do agree that that you should date multiple people. I think that's something that I've always aspired to do, but I was never successful in it.
I'm not going to say
because you're old school. You were old school. Old school dating was 1, a guy seen a girl. A guy went to this girl, and that is who he focused on. The guy got to know that girl better. When the guy wanted to go from the dating phase to the courting phase, he got her permission to go there. When he went from the courting phase to the relationship phase, he got the father's permission. You focus on that one person because
It's my
this
grandma, y'all.
person, grandma got something to say
She
too.
probably did. I
Okay?
should call her back,
You know
Lord.
what I'm saying? It was a process. It was an individual process. If an individual had enough time to occupy his time with another woman, then that means that there was no interest here that she was presenting. That's why I can't do the multiple dating, because when I'm locked in, I'm a Sagittarius. When I'm locked in on you, I'm
Sagittarius.
locked in on you. You're going to be the
Don't
only
claim
person
it,
I
Lord.
see until you make me not see you anymore. Then once I'm out, I'm out. I'm done.
I think when you're dating on the surface level, so if you're like, just like I introduce people on the blind dates, when you're dating on that level, y'all don't know each other, it's easier to date multiple people. For me, and I think that's where the masculine and the feminine energy kind of comes in, because of my experience in the past, it's not easy to get to me. Anybody that I've dated, we started off as friends for a certain period of time before we went into the dating, process or whatever. So it took a lot for them to get into the dating part. And now we're already like drawn in on each other. So I think that's why for me, I've never, dated multiple people at a time, but I wish I did, especially in my younger years, in my 20s, which I am no longer in. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't get me wrong. I'm for dating multiple people. I personally am not dating multiple people.
I know
Just
you ain't,
because-
girl. I know she ain't.
Just
I'm about to
because
call my grandmama on y'all.
I just feel like I feel like it's so much out in the world, and there's a lot of growing that I want to do personally.
Yeah,
Like
me
he
too.
was speaking about earlier,
Still
that
growing.
becoming what the definition of a wife is, I would
Yeah.
like to obtain that first. Therefore, when the dating starts and you're like, oh, I don't know, this is for me, okay, move along, because I'm not worried about whether
ain't
it's
playing
for
no
you when I know
games,
it's for
y'all.
me. So yeah,
Would you allow me to carry you on a blind date, Simone?
I would hurt somebody's feelings.
I bet you.
It's a setup.
Y'all want me to call
You
my
know
grandma?
what?
Y'all want to say hi to
No,
my
no,
grandma?
you should do it.
Definitely
Okay,
hurt
I'm
someone's
serious,
feelings.
No,
y'all.
Simone, you should do it.
Oh, okay.
You should do it. And here's the
can't call
reason
my
why I
grandma.
feel like you should do it. It gives you a chance, number one, to allow somebody that's outside your normal likes and comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure.
Allow
We gonna
someone
talk
who
about
is
it. I
not
got them.
what you are normally attracted to give you conversation for a minute.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You never know.
They gonna
I have
leave
I
there.
have dated
Challenge
some of the
them.
most off-kilter people. Anybody who knows me, I have dated people who are completely opposite of me and have had the greatest time. Then I've dated with the ones that I am naturally attracted to, just like him. I have a type.
person, Tom.
Okay, I have a type, and when I see my type, that's all I see. I watch certain TV shows because my type is in the show. Okay, You know, that's a Sagittarius.
I can't do that, yeah.
Because my type is in the show. I care less about the show, but the fact that I stepped outside my type and were able to enjoy the company of somebody who is completely different from me also tapped into another thing I love is learning. So learning somebody new helped me figure out how I am as a person, which helped me maneuver.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly, because that's where I've grown to do too. Like
Yeah.
when you deal with the opposite, you do learn
Yeah.
a lot.
So do it.
I feel like I need somebody
One day.
just like me.
One day.
I feel like it'd be so much
I mean, you want to be
easier.
equally yoked. I don't believe
Absolutely.
opposites stay. I know
Here's-
people say opposites attract, but I don't believe that they stay.
Here's my toxic trait.
Opposites can only attract if the key thing is open-mindedness. If you are a closed-minded person to something that's different, like I don't like carrots, I'm just never going to eat carrots, then why date a vegetarian? You know,
I
Right.
agree.
like those are the things that you
Right.
have taken consideration.
There's no room for growth in that type of case either. But the reason why I say I feel like I need somebody that's just like me is
What is
because
just like you though?
that loves purely, honestly, that never tries to do anything to anybody, you know what I'm saying, for the wrong reasons or anything, no bad, I don't know how to describe
Good
it,
motive
Lord.
and intention. Yeah.
Exactly, all that good stuff. But the reason why I say that is because, and this is why I say my toxic trait, I'm not good at communicating. And this is something that I have identified and I'm getting better at. So if somebody does something that I deem is, not something that I want my husband to do, I typically just shy away from it. And then they be like, what's going on, boo? What happened? Well, I didn't communicate it, but why do I got to communicate? You know what you did.
Well,
Right.
and that,
No, you
and
didn't.
that right, and I
saying.
get that, but I think this is one of the things
You're
that
not good at it, guys.
women are both good and bad at. Okay, African American women are always considered too aggressive because majority of the time y'all will let you know how you feel right then and there.
I can already see
Yeah.
I'm gonna piggyback off whatever you
Okay.
can
Let
say.
go, let
Go
go.
ahead.
Okay, but like Simone has said before, it's how y'all say things.
Mhm.
You can express yourself in that moment. It could be a simple tap. It's like, we got to talk later. You don't have to say it right then and there. You may not be ready to say it, but it didn't bother you. Or you may need to pin it down and says later on that night, it's like, hey, you know what? Can we have a conversation for a minute? You can have that. You can work on conveying that communication issue or that communication concern. It just doesn't have to be in that moment. Because I know for a fact, I'm quick to say something in that moment because my mom was always quick to say something in that moment.
How do you feel about that, Simone? Communicating in that moment, or do you? Because I feel like when you don't communicate in that moment, it kind of like builds
It's
up.
how
a
you
little
say
bit.
It's how you
So-
say it in that moment.
I feel like there's two types of women, or there is two types in one woman. Depends on who the woman is. But you're either going to not communicate, or you're going to overly communicate. Those both are a problem. Neither one is a balance.
right.
I feel like as a woman, this goes all the way back to our emotions. When we feel strongly about emotions, it's like you have a strong feeling and you just feel like you're right. And he needs to know that you're right now. Whether
I don't
y'all
like
are
that.
in
I
front
don't
of
have that,
family,
yeah.
in front of kids, whether he's mad, irritated, had a bad day, in the wrong
I think
space.
that's that masculine energy.
That's a part of that masculine energy. You feel like you need to get it out and you need to get it out now, and he needs to listen to you. And if he's not willing to listen to you, then he's throwing you to the side and being inconsiderate. And it's like,
It's childish.
as a woman, the right way to go about things, I'm gonna quote my stepmommy that we just had this conversation. She said, when you feel strongly about something, whether it's something that happened today, something that happened yesterday, and you know that there's emotion tied to it, wait until that emotion is no longer tied to it, and then bring it up to the man. Do not do it while you feel so strongly about it. Wait until you can disconnect that emotion from what the actual situation is, and you can think logically about it enough to bring it to him correctly.
Okay, well, I'm gonna unload now.
That is why men communicate completely different than women. If you ever pay attention and watch a couple argue, okay, if the woman is up here, the man will stay down here until she gets to the point where she forces him to get here. When a woman cannot make a man get from down here, that is when she goes for the jugular when she argues. It is a known fact. I have watched it happen. I have even learned the art of not arguing with people when they argue for that very reason.
Makes sense.
And that's because it's always built around emotions. I will leave a situation because I know it's fueled by emotions, and then I will come back and then I will let them say what they need to say. Because at that point in time, now you've gotten all that out your system. You dumped all that emotion that you felt like you were just right there. Problem. You felt disrespected. You wasn't disrespected, but you felt disrespected. So right away, I already know we're going to have a problem. So we can talk later. And then that's when we come back to it. If a man can argue with her and he has emotions involved into it too, now we got a problem.
Facts. Okay, guys. So, I have some very prominent people sitting up here with me today, some wisdom sitting up here with me. Okay. So I'm going to unload on y'all, and I want y'all to tell me it's a whole new segment. This the Lachelle tell you her business segment. Okay. And I want y'all to tell me if I was wrong. All right.
Probably were.
Oh man.
Ah,
You know when that friend come and
no.
say, am I wrong?
Tone.
They be knowing they be wrong.
Don't set that precedence in this conversation.
When
But I just
she just told you why I
said-
said that.
Listen,
I'm
Linda.
keeping her because she is
I
my
already got her.
podcast equal
I
right
already
here.
got her.
We on the same page. I didn't even have to tell you why I said it. She knew.
But like I said, y'all, I was definitely not good at communicating, but that's something I identified and I'm getting much better at. Okay. So let me tell you about a little incident. Now, Tone and Ty, y'all know about the most recent person that I was dating exclusively. Okay. So he called me this morning. I'm gonna tell y'all a situation. Tell me if I was wrong. Listeners, tune in. He called me this morning. He said, let's go. I'm going to, work out on the stairs. You want to come? I woke up in a very just grateful, just full of praise for God this morning. Okay. And I was just praising God. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my workout. All right, let's go work out. Okay. I'm thinking that he wanted to go work out outside. He wanted to go to the gym. I'm fine with that. Typically, I like to work out outside, but that's fine. So now this is a man who has told me he sees my spiritual journey. Okay. He's witnessed it. He's witnessing it. And, he said that he has that desire to be closer to God too. Of course, we're not perfect, but you have a desire to be closer to God. Okay. So I get in the car and I'm like, oh, can we listen to my music? I'm listening. I'm not listening to, old gospel. I'm listening to new hip, gospel, like praising the Lord, but we just swinging music. Okay. He handed me his headphones. He said, you can listen on this. I already, said my scriptures for the morning. Oh, okay. That's why we was breaking up already. But oh, okay. So that was that part. And then when it came to for us to actually work out, he took his headphones back. He wanted his headphones back. I'm like, oh, but I really want to listen to the, my gospel while I'm working out. And he like, no, I need it on blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. This aren't traits I want my husband to have, Lord. This can't be it. Thank you for confirming it for me. Now, typically, I wouldn't communicate with a person, and I haven't communicated with him. I don't know if you're watching, but I haven't communicated that with him. But typically, because I wouldn't communicate, him or anybody else will look at it like, oh, she's just pouting. She just wanted some headphones. No, I saw an opportunity for us to connect together and praise God together, which is something that we both have said was missing in this union, which is necessary if it's going to go to any other level, especially with me. Right. So this is an opportunity for us to connect with the Father and just be in that praise. And you decided to just, be in your own music and, separate me from it. Okay. So when it was time to come back from the gym, of course, I asked for the headphones back because I don't want to listen to your music. I'm going to stay separate. But, was I just pouting because I didn't want to, get the headphones? Or do y'all feel like I'm entitled to my feelings about there being more to it? Somebody looking at it from a surface level would just look at it like, oh, it's just headphones, Shell, you tripping. But I look at things on a much deeper level. If this is how you operate with the small things, I'll never allow you to get to the bigger things. So what do y'all think?
I know what my opinion is.
I'm gonna unpack it.
And then I did call him selfish, because he continues to exemplify selfish over and over again.
Okay, so with me not knowing any other details outside,
he's a great man. He is absolutely. When I tell you he's a great, y'all would love him. Y'all would absolutely love him.
Don't use the word great. I wouldn't use the word great because if it was, go ahead.
I would say communication on the communication tip. Did you find out if it really was that he just didn't want to listen to gospel music, or was it that he didn't like that specific the type that you were listening to in the moment.
He didn't even get a chance to hear the type of music that I was listening to. His first response was, I already have my scriptures for this morning. And one of the number one things that we've been trying to establish, if we were going to establish anything, was that spiritual connection. You know what I'm saying?
I would have
Together.
well, for one, don't go in assuming. That doesn't mean don't take all the facts that you've seen
Right.
or experienced. That's
Right.
not that. But don't assume. Go in. I would say have a genuine conversation and ask questions. Like, okay, you said that you wanted to do this. What was that? I mean, in all honesty, but it's more of the reason I said don't go in with assumptions, because I want you to be open with whatever the response is.
And it seems like men just see things differently.
Mhm.
Than, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And like I said, I'm going from not knowing any of the other
Right.
details.
yes.
So I'm literally giving you a generalization of the situation and how I would handle that.
Yes.
I would literally go in, no assumptions. Don't assume that it was this. Don't assume that it was that. Go in, ask questions, let him answer from his perspective, and from there, I feel like you can use your judgment.
Thank God for discernment. We
Mhm.
gotta actually walk in it and use it, Lord. Amen. Go ahead, Ty.
What's your response?
I'm not gonna go too hard into this. I'm gonna let him have that. For me, I think the important part was presentation, right? I think women, this is how men ears work. If you come to us and say, I feel, already we have this whole perception that it's fit to be a certain way.
Mhm.
And the fingers fit to do this. And we, at this point, we guilty. Now, when a woman come and present it and says, I felt, that's a different experience for us, because now we understand that you took some time to think about how you felt in the moment. And when you come and talk to us, now it's easier for us to listen because you'll make sense of yourself. I think a lot of times when you approach it to where I feel, which it goes back kind of earlier when you guys were speaking about when it's time to say something and when it's not. A lot of times in a moment, and I just want to add this, y'all, most people that know me know I like to go touch it from a natural and a spiritual sense, because that's the world we live in.
Yes.
God's process to emotions, he says, be slow to speak, right? Swift to hear, right? These things is literally a proper process, because if you react in the moment, because that's what you do. If you speak first based off how you feel, you're going to react.
Right. Which I didn't say anything. I haven't had any conversations about it or anything, but I definitely was even more closed off.
And now, like, as you said, you didn't say nothing in the moment, so you were slow to speak, right? Swift to hear, which means you're processing what you just transpired, right?
Exactly.
And now you'll be able to properly come to him and say, when you do present this, I felt this way.
If
you
I
know,
do.
well,
And that's the toxic trait, probably, because instead I typically wouldn't present it. I would look at that as evidence that, we shouldn't take it any further and, leave it at that. But I think it is good for you to communicate, because people don't even know what they did wrong, so even if it's for him to take it into the next situation, at least,
and he may not have even seen it the same way you did.
He probably didn't. And that's why I said, I don't think I dissect everything. So I don't think men kind of see things. I think y'all may see things more on the surface level. And I don't. So,
well, because you said you don't know if you're going to present it to him. Well, the next question is, is this someone that you see, right? If you don't see yourself being with this person, do you see this person being in your life? Because if you do, right, you don't want in the future to feel that way again.
Right.
So you need to communicate it.
Right.
In that sense, to properly, so he's aware and he has an opportunity to change it. And then if he don't, then there's a different conversation you need to have at that point, because at the end of the day, it's about respect, and he invited you. And if he invited you, comfortability is highly important.
Right. I
The
needed
floor is
that
yours.
word, Lord. I need it. You ain't gotta say nothing else.
I see his face.
We got no, because he was supposed to be interviewing my dates a long time ago. So
I am going to talk as an individual who loves you like a sister.
oh God.
Okay. So that means right away that no matter what them two say, my POV is my POV. Okay.
Okay.
One thing I'm going to say that's probably going to shock you. When the gentleman said he wants to be closer to God, which is why he wants the walk to be with us, is the first mistake. His walk should only be just him and God. You should not have been anywhere near the conversation about him trying to get closer to God.
Well, you know, when that conversation came, when I was walking away.
That's why I said that.
Right.
Okay. You gotta remember, everybody don't know the whole story.
Right.
So that's why I'm not gonna present it like
That's
this.
why
was
I said
already
I'm,
talked.
I'm speaking from what you just
I didn't
told
want to
right
touch it.
now.
He can have it.
Okay. When that was presented, when that was what he was said, immediately my mentality, I'm checking out the situation because he's trying to cater to your wants and needs to make it possible that you're still in his presence. He is going into the situation all wrong. Like we said earlier, self-love is the best love. You need to love yourself before you can love anybody else.
Amen.
So his walk with God needs to be his walk first before he can try to make him walk with both of y'all.
Right.
Because you're on a completely different level. Now, I had to get that out the way. That was the first thing that I heard that bothered me ASAP. I get it. There are certain moments where you have to have your groove and you have to have your vibe. If you walk into the studio prior to before any recording, except today because I was watching TV, I normally have music on.
Yeah.
Based on the show I'm getting ready to record, I have a vibe that I need to listen to get me into that mood of that particular show. So I can understand him wanting to listen
That's what he said.
to the
too,
music that he wanted to listen to
Yeah.
because it got him in the mood.
Yeah.
Okay. His response is where I get bothered at. Oh, here, put on headphones if you want to listen to what you want. And then you get into Jim. Oh, I need my headphones back now. Not, well, do you need them? I'm going to do this. Can I borrow them and then give them back? Communication, conversation. These are the things that are a problem. Something small like now where conversation is not had in a proper manner is going to be problems with conversations on the grander scale. It's the whole entire, I'm not going to say nothing now, but I'm going to blow up later.
Mm-hmm.
So the way he's communicating with you on top of the way you communicate is going to constantly be problematic.
I agree. In his defense, later on, he did say, after I'm done with the stairs, you know, you can use the headphones. At that point, of course, I didn't want to. But I think when we're...
But it was later on.
Yes,
that was something that could have been conveyed, should have been
for
conveyed
me,
in the moment.
And I probably, I don't know if I take things too seriously, but for
you take
me,
things literal.
I do.
Not
I
serious,
really do.
literal. It's
I
different.
really do. For me, I can only have one husband. Okay, I can only have the one man that I look to in a certain light. So when I'm dating, you know, I want my husband to treat me a certain way. That's the number one thing. I want my husband to treat me like God treats the church. Okay. And if you're going to operate in a certain way over these in these type of situations, then I don't want to assume. I don't want to assume, but I can only, you know, based on how you operated over these headphones, decipher how you would operate in a more, you know, in a bigger situation.
I have a question that I kind of wanted to ask you earlier, but then we started talking about some other
Who,
stuff.
me?
So I'm gonna ask it now.
Okay.
My question to you, you were talking earlier.
Jesus, take the wheel.
You were talking earlier about working on your communication, right?
Yes, I am.
And you feel like, you know, you do need to work on that.
Mhm.
But you're also talking about finding a husband.
Well, he'll find me, and I think Tone kind of hit it on, you know, just working on the self-love part. And then maybe I'll attract somebody
That you're looking for.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, when you're dating these men and they're making their mistakes, or, you know, things are happening that they maybe need to mature from or grow from, why not look at it in a perspective of yourself? Like, you still have to work on communication. You're not all the way there.
See?
So why is it that as
He
soon
has
as they
to all
do
the way be
something,
there.
you're like, nope.
And see, I don't. And I think that, well, I was talking to my best friend Flossie, which you both met her.
Mhm.
But she says, I give people too many chances.
Too many.
You do, and you don't. You find
There's no in between. Is
No,
what
no,
it
no.
sounds like to me.
no. You find an excuse to accept
Because I
what
feel
they
like
did.
nobody is perfect. I look at it that
You
way.
do,
Nobody is perfect,
but
that be
you
kind
don't
of butting
ever
against
give
the
them
discernment.
you don't ever give them the question that they need to answer.
Mm.
Do you know what they are going to do? Because you give them excuses for doing it, but you never give them a question of why is it being done this way.
Absolutely. And I think what I need to do, instead of not communicating it and shying away from it and disappearing from the person, is to highlight the situation, to highlight it so they have an understanding of, not just how to operate for me, to how to operate for the next person that they date.
Here's something you can do.
What can I do, Tom?
Okay, I've done this in past relationships. It actually
What
works.
can we do?
Have a weekly sit down, coffee talk, as my mom likes to call it, where you two just sit down and just dump your week. Things that you experienced, you've done, you haven't done, things that they said. You may not be feeling like saying it in that moment because you don't want to add emotions to it, but write it down. So every Wednesday or every Thursday, you two are just having a conversation and you're getting things about your week off your chest.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, it may feel weird because he may get defensive, you may get defensive of what you hear, but as you start doing it more and more often, you'll start looking at things that you guys have issues with and either find a resolution or a realization.
Mm-hmm.
One to two. That way you can work
That's
on your
good advice for those
communication,
relationships
but
out
also
there,
make
guys.
it not feel so uncomfortable.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
I like that. I like that idea too. That's actually something, I don't remember if I was talking to you or if I was talking to someone else, but I was saying that's like something that I would like to do, like in my marriage type of thing. Like, hey, we sit down, we talk about anything that would have happened, whether it be good, bad, anything that you've seen. And then from that perspective too, I think during the dating process, you should add like, okay, now that you've had that conversation, are you guys growing?
Ooh,
Why wait
girl.
until you're married to have that conversation? Why not have it from the beginning?
Yeah.
Most of the times, a date does not have to be going to do something entertaining.
Yeah.
A date could literally be just having coffee,
Right.
communicating, talking. Literally, it can be something. A date can be something like a mini podcast where you sit down and think about it.
Absolutely.
Something could have popped up in the news that day or that week, and you want to hear the person who you're looking at to be your potential mate's point of view on it.
Yeah.
Right.
That alone sometimes breaks the monotony of having the same regular conversation, but more importantly, you get to look into their mind. Like we got the Britney situation with the old girl from the
Lord.
WNBA. There are so many women that are on one side of it and the men on the other side of it. That kind of conversation to have a better understanding could make both sides look at it from a different perspective, which could make the relationship be a little bit stronger. Like, okay, see, my girl, she a feminist, but this is how she go about. That way, now you know how to maneuver in the relationship, in which builds up a natural necessity to communicate. You don't feel uncomfortable expressing yourself to them because you do this every week in an unfiltered environment. So now you out and about and Bay doing something that's irritating you, and y'all done came up with the clue that he touched my elbow 3 times. I'm doing a little bit too much. You know, not, that nonverbal communication skills are now being picked up. Now
Take
you're
our
really
ideas, y'all.
now you're no take them, please.
Be out there
Hey,
elbow
man,
touching.
no, do it,
Elbow
please.
tapping.
That way, y'all can get y'all shit together.
Yeah.
That's why I
Real.
say the
I'm just
thing.
playing,
No,
y'all.
really.
I'm just playing.
Take
Don't
them,
play
please.
ball.
Use it. Touch your girl on the elbow 3 times. Let her know
But
she's
can I
doing too
ask
much.
y'all something, please? Can I ask y'all something?
Of course you can. Show.
No, it's our show. This is a family show. We family up here, okay? Now we talked about men being in certain roles, the typical roles, or women being in typical roles. So let me ask y'all this on a spiritual level, okay? Y'all know we be diving into different topics, but on the spiritual level, I was always taught, okay, that the man should elevate the woman in the spirit, that the man should teach the woman. It was even prophesied to me, and I told you this, Ty, that that all of the gifts inside of me would be unlocked by my husband. Okay, so just curious, do y'all think that is something that's valid always, or can the woman, because we all know about the woman covering the man too, but that's covering her husband. So can a woman elevate a man? Should she?
Go
or
ahead, you take
I'll-
it.
I'll-
over.
I'll- no, no,
I'm
let me
just
start. Yeah,
curious.
let me start. I have been told a phrase from the older generation that steel sharpens steel.
Ooh, I
Okay.
love that.
So
I love that.
there is no way possible that if I'm the Rock, that as I'm sharpening her sword to be a stronger person, that I'm not being faded away.
Yeah.
So if I sit here and pour myself constantly into the woman that I want her to be, she's eventually going to lose her identity and be the woman that I want and created. So she's going to feel less of herself. But if she pours into me just as well as I pour into her, we are always going to be learning. We're always going to be growing. We're always going to be elevating, because the way I look at the TV is not the same way she does. So if she tells me, well, this, and that is what's going on, and I didn't see that, I learned something new. I became a better person. I run a business. If I told her how to run my business, I could be running my business in the ground because I refuse to listen to her. But meanwhile, she's telling me this is going on. This is a new trend. These are the things you need to do. Look into this concept. She's helping me build up. So I'm a strong believer in 50-50, but not 50-50 on the financial thing that everybody else talks about. You pay these bills, I pay these, but I look at 50-50 and what we do it together. I need to know how you look at a situation. I don't make a move unless I get her opinion on how I want to move, because her insight could be just what I need to make that final decision.
I'm gonna comment on the financials in a second, but
Mhm.
Ty, go ahead and chime
Wait.
off
Well,
of
no,
Tom.
let me go.
Okay.
Let me go.
Go ahead, Simone. Go ahead, girl.
I feel like on the spiritual tip that it needs to be an intertwinement. Intertwinement, the only way for me to best describe it is just like in your natural life, you go through ups and downs, loops, hoops, and swoops. It's the same thing with your spiritual
Roller
walk.
coasters, girl. Roller
Right.
coasters.
It's the same thing with your spiritual walk. Now, I can give the example of when, say, for instance, that you're going through something spiritually that has you down.
Mhm.
Your partner, if you are constantly pouring into him and he's never pouring back into you, and y'all are used to that, if you're down at the moment,
Drained.
that means neither one of y'all are moving.
Yes.
So we're not moving as a unit.
Yeah.
So the intertwinement comes in when, hey, you know what? You're lacking. You're going through something. I'm going to pick up the slack so we can keep it pushing. Okay, you're good. We're both good. Okay, well, now I'm lacking. So now you need to pick up the slack. The goal is to keep moving. That's the goal.
Powerful.
That's where the intertwinement comes in. That's my opinion.
Push and pull.
Girl, go pick my
Right.
husband off of me and stop playing, Lord.
Push
Just
and
pick
pull.
him. Make sure he intertwining and stuff.
It's what you learned while playing shoots and ladders when you were little. That's basically what the game was teaching you.
Go ahead, Todd. Talk about it.
Let's just touch on the system that God has in
Okay.
this case. He said, for a husband or a man shall leave his mother and his father and cleave to his wife. He didn't say for the wife to leave her mother and father. The reason why I said that is because of the fact that, and this is the revelation that the disciples learned in this moment, which I've learned in this moment as well, is when Jesus was speaking to his disciples about God's original order of man and woman, wife and husband.
Mhm.
Right after that, the one that was married, which is Peter, he goes, well, it's actually better for a man to be single than be married. Why did a man who was married to a wife receive that revelation? Because he received the severity of the husband's role. Men carry identity. And that's in, like he said, we can mold the women in who we want to be, what we want them to be like,
Water them.
how how we want them to be, move, fat, talk, etc. Right.
Right.
And in most cases, in relationships, the woman becomes the man. She adopts everything that he likes, what he loves, etc. Right? And she accepts that. When Peter said that, he realized the responsibility that the man bared on the marriage. It's identity. Yes, if I see you, right, as a wife, I see you have virtue, right? When I come into your life and we come together, yes, we're supposed to intertwine, and it's going to be, that 50-50, right? But when I can't do it, right, it's your job to do it. But that don't mean that I don't do it. I have to bear that forefront first, because that's God's commandment. That's his original order. You're the man. You're going to make decisions. You're going to have to make decisions. And it's going to first start with you, because that's how I've seen it. When it's time for you now to rest, because you're teaching her, you're working with her, you're being patient with her, you're hearkening unto her, because as he said before, you have to also take in consideration what she's saying. He made a commandment with the husband, so we don't get full of ourselves. Husband, hearken unto your wives. And that's important, because of the fact that we can become so egotistic in moments, and we just feel we just got it all figured out,
Yes,
and that we got it, and we can become
Egos.
blinded by it. And it's our woman comes to tap us. Listen, we might want to just do it this way. This may be the best way to go about that, because of such and such, such and such. And it's our job to take that verbatim. If I'm pouring into you as a husband, and I'm appreciating you for what you're doing, for what you're providing to the relationship, it helps you to be edified. It helps you to grow in your essence and who you is as a woman. So as you spoke about how when God spoke that to you, he just saying, in other words, there are certain things that he put in you that is going to take a man of identity to give, to bring out, because that's how it is.
I
If
felt
your
that.
husband's
Ooh.
supposed to be like
A
Christ
shamana,
in your
shamana.
life, God gave him a
Jesus,
gift
I felt that.
in the same way he have, because God brings out the best in us.
Amen.
So there are certain things that God would place people in our lives that would
Yes,
bring
God.
out certain parts in our
People
life.
of purpose.
And I've had it.
Mhm.
So I can understand that, and I get
Ooh, I
in its
felt that.
totality.
Yes. Oh, I'm trying to, the spirit is moving, Jesus. I felt that. I was trying to make a joke and be funny, but I'm stuck in the spirit right now, Lord. But I will say this. So, based on what you said, it's safe to say if the relationship fails, it's the man's fault. Is that?
I would say
Based on what he said,
I would say
y'all.
that the man bear the most responsibility. Yes,
Mhm.
for sure. Because like I said,
just
it's just how it's just the revelation of the sort, the
Yeah.
responsibility.
Absolutely.
And it's our job. It is one pivotal thing that he said just for
Yes,
husbands.
God.
He said,
Ooh, I felt
dwell
that.
with your wives, acknowledging them as the weaker vessel.
Mhm.
Not in terms of that they're weak, not that at all, but acknowledge them, and you dwell with them according to knowledge, because there are certain things God gave you because of your role and your responsibility.
Mhm.
And that's it. So
Yeah.
yes, it would bear mainly the majority of the responsibility falls on the man, on the husband, because if God failed us, how will we feel?
It's true.
Like a redheaded stepchild, Lord, that was just thrown away. Because we are his children. So I would, if God failed me, I would feel like that, the child that he didn't love and all that good stuff.
If he didn't do his part, if he wasn't who he said he was,
right,
how would we feel?
Ooh.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Right. Lost.
That's where
Confused.
that extra
Yes,
aggression
Lord.
comes from.
Yeah. So it's y'all fault. On a lighter note, it's y'all fault.
She wanted to say
It's all
that.
the man's fault.
No, it's
You
not.
heard it right here on the Shine Your Light podcast.
Any woman who
Purpose
has
for the entire show.
It's
The
hard.
relationship fails.
accountability,
It's bro fault. I'm
Nope.
just kidding, y'all. I am just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
accountability matters.
It absolutely does matter. And that's the only way to grow. It's the only way to grow. So we're going to wrap it up right here, y'all. I love y'all so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate Miss Simone in the building. Woo, hand clap. Woo. Thank you for your presence, beautiful queen.
Thank you. for
Beautiful
having
woman
me.
of God.
Thank
You can see your beauty, your strength, the femininity, all of that just
Mhm.
shines all over you. So keep shining your light. Thank you for
Thank
shining your
you,
light. And
thank
here,
you.
girl, I'm taking her from you.
She know
Ty.
I'm about to big her up.
I'm
Yeah.
taking her from you, Ty. Yes. And thank you so much to the king, to Ty, the guy who, you know what I'm saying, one of my confidants, one of the people that I know God placed in my life to be a light. I know he's a light in your life, Simone. He's
Mhm.
definitely a light everywhere he goes. I appreciate your wisdom, dropping the knowledge and all that good stuff. So thank you for being here, Ty,
Thank
the
you for having
guy.
me.
Always. I'm going to drag it back again. And then, of course, Tone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Setting the tone always in the building. I love you with all my
Mhm.
heart. I appreciate you. And thanks for dissecting these topics. You just he is a whole
This is my
he is a
job.
book. You know what I'm saying? Like he is always on point, and I appreciate that. I think he uncovers different levels in the conversations that I don't even think about. You know what I'm saying? So I need you to be a part of the conversation a little bit more.
Well, since you're supposed to be moving to Saturdays, I guess I will be.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, y'all heard that. So that is a verbal contract. Yeah. But I just want to thank y'all so much for listening. And I hope y'all learned something. I hope it sits in your spirit. I hope you take the time before you react, people. I think that's a lot of times where all these domestic violence is coming into place, these arguments, this abuse, all of this stuff is because we react without just kind of taking that time to ourselves to assess things. And like Queen Simone said, don't assume. Okay, so just be slow to speak and quick to listen, be more understanding, and just be a light, y'all. We need some AC in here, but just be a light in each other's lives, y'all. What is you watching?
I just opened my Instagram. Like
Somebody was twerking for the Lord. Okay.
all I did was open my Instagram.
Yes,
Lord.
Lord. Who you following?
I don't post it. I just hear.
Thank y'all for listening to the show. We love y'all. We'll see you soon. Bye.